All right, let's talk about something we all take for granted pretty much every single day, our drinking water. You turn on the tap, the water comes out, it looks perfectly clean and clear. But is it really as safe as it looks? Today, we're going to dive deep into those hidden contaminants that your standard treatments might miss, and more importantly, what you can actually do about it. So, let's get right into it.
So let me just ask you this straight up. Do you have any idea what's really in that glass of water you're about to drink? I mean, sure, there are minerals, maybe a little bit of chlorine, but there can also be this whole other invisible world of microscopic hitchhikers. And that's exactly what we're here to uncover today.
You see, here's the problem. We're all taught to believe that chlorine is the magic bullet that makes our water safe. And hey, for a lot of things, it absolutely is. But some of the toughest, most stubborn contaminants out there have basically evolved to fight back. They have defenses that make them resistant to chlorine. You can't see them, you can't taste them, but they can cause some pretty serious problems.
So what exactly are we talking about here? Let's pull back the curtain and take a good hard look at what could be hiding in your water, completely unseen.
Okay, meet public enemy number one in this story, Cryptosporidium. It's a tiny little parasite, but it has a secret weapon, this incredibly tough outer shell. Think of it like a suit of microscopic body armor. This shell is what makes it so resistant to chlorine, allowing it to just hang out and survive for months in the water, just waiting for a chance to get inside a host.
But crypto isn't working alone, of course. There's a whole crew of these microbial characters that we really need to know about. So let's meet the main players in this microscopic drama.
This table really breaks it down nicely for us. So first, you've got your bacteria, which chlorine is usually pretty good at zapping. Then you have viruses, which are way smaller, so small they can sometimes slip right through certain filters. And then you've got the parasites we've been talking about, like Crypto and Giardia, the ones with those tough as nails, chlorine-resistant shells that can lead to some really nasty intestinal diseases.
So just how easy is it for these things to spread? Well, this number should give you an idea, and it is staggering. A single bowel movement from an infected animal or person can release millions, we're talking up to 10 million, of these infectious cysts into the environment. It just goes to show you how fast a water source, whether it's a lake or even a swimming pool, can get contaminated.
And it's not just the living stuff we have to worry about. Chemical contaminants are a huge concern too. For instance, high levels of nitrates, which often come from fertilizer runoff, can cause a really terrifying condition in infants known as blue baby syndrome. The nitrates basically mess with the blood's ability to carry oxygen. It's just a stark reminder that what we can't see can be incredibly dangerous, especially for the little ones.
Okay, the threats are real, they're invisible, and they're kind of scary. But the good news is we have ways to fight back. And that brings us to our guide to filtration. Think of this next section like we're interviewing different technologies for the most important job in your home, protecting your water. First up for the job interview is a really common one, reverse osmosis, or RO. Now on the plus side, it's a powerhouse. It's super effective against a huge range of contaminants, even microplastics. But, and this is a big but, it has some major drawbacks. RO systems are notorious for wasting a ton of water. And they don't just take out the bad stuff, they strip out everything, including good, essential minerals. Plus, because they're often connected to the sewage line, there's even a risk of contamination. And this just drives that point home. The water from RO systems can actually be, well, too pure. It's so empty of minerals that the source material we're looking at points out that the EPA has flagged it as potentially unhealthy and, get this, especially unsuitable for mixing with infant formula. It really flips that idea that purer is always better right on its head, doesn't it? Okay, next candidate. Ultraviolet, or UV, disinfection. The big appeal here is that it's a chemical-free way to kill bacteria and viruses using light. Sounds great, right? Well, it has a huge blind spot. It does absolutely nothing to chemicals like heavy metals or nitrates. And here's the real kicker. The source notes that UV light can actually react with nitrates and convert them into nitrites, which are even more harmful. Yikes! Let's quickly look at two other methods you'll see out there. First, activated carbon filters. They're fantastic for making your water taste and smell better because they remove chlorine. But here's the catch. Once that chlorine's gone, the filter itself can become the perfect home for bacteria to grow. Then you've got distillation. It's really good at removing heavy metals, but it is an incredibly slow and energy-hungry process. Now, the source material also gives an example of a system that tries to tackle a bunch of these issues at once. It uses a 1-micron filter. That's small enough to physically block those parasites with the tough shells, like Crypto.
But unlike RO, it's designed to leave in those good essential minerals. It's also eco-friendly, doesn't need electricity, and it's certified to several key industry standards for safety and performance, which is always something you want to look for.
So, with all these different options, each with its own pros and cons, how in the world are you supposed to make the right choice for you and your family? Let's get into our final section and figure out how to put all this information together.
When you boil it all down, the decision to get a filter really comes down to these 4 things. Number 1, and most importantly, is your health. It's about protecting your family from all this stuff we've been talking about. But there are also some huge practical wins, right? You save a ton of money by not buying bottled water, you help the environment by cutting down on plastic waste, and there's just the amazing convenience of having safe, clean water right there at your tap, anytime you want it.
So here's the key takeaway. Keeping your water safe isn't a set it and forget it kind of thing. It's an ongoing process. But it's simple if you just remember these 3 steps. First, test your water every year so you actually know what's in it. Second, and this is crucial, replace your filters on time, every time. And third, stay informed. Keep an eye on your local water quality reports. That's it.
And that brings us to the end. We've pulled back the curtain on the invisible threats, everything from those tough-as-nails parasites to dangerous chemicals. We've looked at the technology designed to fight them back. So, we're going to leave you with one final question to think about. Now that you know what's out there, how are you going to defend your water?